Welcome to Flipped Classroom. Our topic is statistics and we are looking at graphing histograms. Our learning intention is that we are learning about histograms, and our success criteria is I am successful when I can convert a frequency table into a histogram and convert a histogram into a frequency table. A histogram is a way that we can show the data from a frequency table in a graphical representation. A histogram looks similar to a column graph, however, we don't have the gaps between each of the columns. The very left-hand side, our dependent axis or our vertical axis, shows the frequency of each item, and the horizontal axis has the category for each item. Now, when we're drawing this, sometimes we leave a half column space at the start. This is so that we state that the numbers aren't starting from zero. Histograms are usually used for frequency tables of numerical data. If you're not sure the difference between categorical and numerical data, click the link above. So as you can see, I've got a frequency table on the left here, ranging from 0 to 4, and our frequencies for each of those numbers are on the right. And then on the right hand side I have a graph, and that graph is the histogram, and you can see the categories down the bottom, the 0 through to 4 down the bottom, and you can see the frequency up that left hand side, and each of those columns match up with the frequencies in that table. Now if the data in the frequency table is continuous and the items are grouped together, then we do the histogram a little bit differently, and we put the number for the start value of each of those categories on the left hand side, and then we put the final value on the right hand side. So as you can see, I'm counting up in groups of 10 there, from 0 to 9 and then 10 to 19 and so on. And you can see our numbers down the bottom. We've got 0, 10, 20, 30, all the way up to the top number there of 50 for our categories across the bottom. Here's a worked example. This is the type of question you might get in your book to read a histogram. And we've got the graph on the right hand side, and this graph shows people in art class and their ages. And you can see the ages across the bottom, 8, 9, 10 and 11, and you can see the frequency of the ages. The first question here is how many people are 8 years old in this class? So what we do is we look at the column for the 8, and we can see that it comes up to the frequency of 2. So I'm going to write down in my book, there are 2 people who are 8 in this class. The next question is what is the most common age for students in this class? So I'm going to have a look at which age group has the highest frequency. I can see that the 9 age group is the tallest in that histogram. So I will write down in my book that the most common age for this class is 9 years old. Our third question is what is the age of the oldest person in the class? So I look across the bottom and I can see the ages ranging from 8 upwards, and I can see that the last age there is 11. So based on my histogram, the oldest person in the class is 11. And the last question, how many people are younger than 10 years old? Now this is a tricky question because it's asking for a range of ages. The ages that are younger than 10 years old are 8 and 9. So I can see that 8 has a frequency of 2. 9 has a frequency of 10. So I add those two frequencies together and I can write in my book, there are 12 people younger than 10 years old in this class. We have another worked example here. This time we're creating a histogram from a frequency table. On the left hand side, I'm going to show my thinking, and on the right hand side is what I'm going to put on the paper so the teacher knows what I am doing. First off, I'm going to draw the histogram and label the axes. So I have a look, I can see that the frequency is ranging from 0 up to 25. So I'm going to count in groups of 5 because that makes a nice division. And the values of the number of siblings across the bottom, I'm going to make my 5 columns, 0 through to 4 plus. There is my axes all drawn up. I've labeled it, frequency on the left hand side, number of siblings down the bottom. That way anyone can see this graph, they know what they are looking at and what I am representing. So part 2 is I need to rule in. Next, I'm going to rule in each of the frequency values, ensuring that the histogram columns are touching. Now, I do need to make sure that they're ruled, that way they're nice and straight, and I am making sure that I get each value as accurately as possible. So I draw in each of the columns in, I rule them up, to make sure that they are as neat as possible so that my teacher can see what the values are. Our reflection for this video is, why do you think that column graphs and histograms look similar? And our second part of our reflection is, what type of data do each of the graph types represent? So what type of data do column graphs represent and histograms represent? They both can represent frequency tables, but it's the type of data that they look at, and we talked about this at the start of the video. As always, like the video, subscribe for more videos on maths.